Hey everybody, welcome to Minute 7 of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate Solo, a Star Wars story, one sunny minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from petetheretailer.fun.
I'm Josh Flanagan, and you said Solo like it was two words and not a name. We're so low.
We're so low. How low are we?
So low. Well, yes, we're talking about minute number 7 of Solo, a Star Wars story. Minute number 7 starts off with Moloch the worm chasing Qi'ra out of the worm's den. What do you guys think about Qi'ra as a Han Qi'ra
I thought you were just pronouncing the Q like a...
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. No,
God willing.
And anyway, it ends a minute later with Han completing Qi'ra's sentence by saying they'll never get kicked around again, ever.
I'm thinking more. What about Quan?
Quan
or Qi'ra? Those are our choices, right?
That's a tough one.
That reminds me of the Hunger Games when they were on one of the late night talk shows and talking about because there was Katniss, Everdeen, and then Peeta Millark, and they were talking about the shipping, the couple name for them, and it's like, yeah, we have to call it Cat P because that's the best of the two. Like, you can't do it the other way because then you can't say it on TV.
Wait a minute, was he a baker? Was he the one who was the baker, Peeta?
Yes.
I never put that together that his name is Peeta and he's a baker.
Oh wow, yeah. I don't think until just now.
Anyway,
let me make a note of that.
Okay.
Peeta.
Yeah. Exactly. Meg Griffin
well,
was
we
there.
get to see the debut. Well, it's not the debut because we saw Han's lawn speeder earlier in the week. Earlier in it's the M68 land speeder.
Yeah. Well, she asks about it now. He's like, "Get in," which is it's a very Han Solo thing. Yep. Get in. Like running to the ship and saying, "Get in."
So this M68 land speeder is marketed to a youth audience by Mobquet Swoops and Speeders.
Sure.
Mobquet Swoop and Speeders. That is very hard to roll off the tongue in an easy.
Soups. Yeah. Well, when you call, you're like beep boop boop boop. Like, hello, Mobquet Swoops and Spoops. I can't even say it.
Yeah,
Mobquet Swoops and Speeders.
Very difficult to do. It has a maximum speed of 140 miles per hour. Pete, that's 225 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
Kilometers per hour for you. And I think it looks kind of like Corellius has a kind of aesthetic where everything is kind of square and chunky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It looks almost like a old Walkman on its side or something.
I mean, there's one of my notes on this minute is that I really like the design of all the ships in this world. It very much feels of a piece. I think that
it looks Soviet. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I think
it looks like
works.
It's like behind the
Soviet
Iron
bloc,
Curtain land speeder.
Polish.
Right.
So
in a place that just they're not so concerned with design, but more in just like making a thing. And it's like, well, this speeder bike that's not yet, but like it's gigantic. And it's like it works. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it has when you talk about Star Wars having that lived in feel. It's a world. I think this is actually one of the ones that has done that really well. I mean, there's others that have, but I did think as I looked at this, this feels like. Using up one of my notes for later, this feels like Space Baltimore from The Wire season 2. Like it's, there's a port, they're working. It's a place where there's cranes and stuff has to get done.
I
and
do want to see
a
prestige kind of golden age of TV show set in the docks of Corelli in
on the space on the waterfront.
Yeah, there you go.
On the space front.
I don't know, because we're not on the space front. We're not in space. We're just on a different planet.
Right. Yeah.
I'm happy that this is why these two were meant to be together, because, like Han Solo, he needs, he should be with somebody who can appreciate the kind of car that he stole. You know what I mean? If this is Princess Leia, she's cool. I love Princess Leia, but she wouldn't appreciate an M68, I don't think.
She'd Hermione Granger that. She'd be like, you shouldn't have done that. I can't believe you. Whereas this one was like, badass, I'm going to give a poorly worded speech about freedom at the end of this minute, but the car is cool. And, he gets to do his Bob Falfa thing, which is correct. And that's, I mean, starting a car chase on an alien world that is sort of lived in and full of stuff bumping around, it's pretty damn Star Wars. And I think this is one of the first things in the movie that made me, I didn't love the worm thing so much, but as we moved into this, I was like, oh, this feels like it should be. You can see the roots. It's connected to a George Lucas lineage. It's what you would have pictured. It fits with your idea of it, but without being like a direct, like, this is his car, the Millennium Hawk. They didn't try to make it too Millennium. I don't know. I was moving on the fly there, but
the Millennium Malkin.
Yeah. Malcolm.
In this world where aliens even walk their dogs, it's great.
Oh, we'll have some dog talk.
Space dog.
Yeah, they jump into the car, they take off, and let me go back to the 52 useless Solo. The fact that go back to the Kazdan. Guess what? The
chicken butt.
Early drafts of the script, there was no speeder chase. This is something that Lord and Miller conceived of, and it says it's confusing because he refers to them as C and P, and I think that's Chris and I forgot the other one's name, but Lord and Miller.
PETA.
Phil.
Is it Phil?
Phil. I think.
It says something C&P conceived of and C&P and RH executed, in my opinion, beautifully. So it is a synthesis of this, but this came about, it's interesting to think that sometimes the things, I thought the thermal detonator thing was certainly Lord Miller, and then we cut to the car chase thing, which is a more wide appeal Ron Howard thing. Nope, vice versa.
It's Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
There you go. Phil and Chris and Phil.
Krill.
Lawrence Kasdan is the one who focused much more on the Dickensian element and was more passionate about the foot chase and the deleted eel barrel scene, which is included in the extras. We won't get to that.
Sounds
I was
riveting.
excited to talk about eels because I'm all about eels lately, but we don't get to that. Yeah. But we do get they're being chased. They hop in the car, they take off, and then out come the hounds. Moloch is chasing them with Corellian hounds at first.
Well, there's one part where they're still in the car when did you I thought the hounds didn't really come out until later, right? Or I guess we see them
at first. Yeah. We'll save the hound talk for later, I guess.
Yeah. This ain't nothing but a hound talk. I mean, like, to me, it was just a guy standing in the alley with two dogs on a leash. By the way, Corellia, even our dogs are terrifying.
That's true.
It's everything. I mean, maybe they're sweet, but they're
brutalist Soviet dogs.
Yeah.
The chase to me feels like
feels like what?
it feels like a 3D ride like at Disney World. Like you get into your own little speeder and then you're suddenly like, whoa, and then you see you're like in a 3D environment. So for better or for worse, it's like you said, it's you can't
it all feeds into itself in such a way now that it's hard to even tell
exactly.
What's...
But and high speed chases are certainly Star Wars, bread and butter.
Yeah, and it did feel like that. It was not all that spiritually different from a bunch of TIE fighters chasing the Millennium Falcon, and it had that that element. I have notes for next minute that I think fit better there, but yeah.
This is a small weird note, but when they go and they emerge from the sunlight and then it shows them driving away, I almost feel like that's where the logo should have been, more so than at the very beginning.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's kind of once they're in the sunlight and they're chasing. I feel like that. I guess he was chasing them, but it was just in the gray misty thing. But it felt almost like that should have been or could have been the logo part.
That's a very good note.
But
it is. I wonder if they were just worried about leaving it for so long into the long.
People wouldn't know what was going on. They're like, what? I'm 6 minutes in, and I don't know. They haven't told me what I'm watching yet.
There are TV shows that don't do it for 25 minutes now.
Yeah, that's true.
Like in comic books, like the credits will either not come at all, or there'd be 75% through it. All of a sudden, there'd be a credits page.
Or you know what I would have done? I really would have pushed it and had the whole Proxima stuff up until he joins the Imperial Navy, and then you would have had the title. And that's even when he gets the name Solo, because that's when he gets the name Solo. That would have been the perfect time to play on that.
It's not Star Wars, but if you did it, he would say, well, what's your surname, your last name, or whatever, and he's like, I'm all alone. So Han,
right.
Like, and they never say it.
Or
Never say it critically.
I like it.
How about if you like close up on like his passport and he stamps it, and that's where it says Solo Star Wars Story just on his passport?
Oh yeah, that would be great.
You know,
I like it. Oh man, we should
well,
totally get a crack
use
at this.
that font.
before we get to that area, they're driving on a causeway. And I like, is this the only causeway that we've seen in Star Wars so far?
Now, a causeway is defined as a road that is surrounded on water by both sides.
It's
on
a
both
road
sides?
across a low or wet place or across a piece of water.
Okay.
What's great is that like I would not have recognized that as a causeway. I don't believe I've ever used the word causeway.
Yeah.
If you said it to me, I'd be like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But just pulling that out there, I was like, oh, that's a piece of the English language I don't think I've ever utilized.
It took me way until, late in life. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Highway, freeway, causeway, sure. Yeah, parkway. But, some things have different meanings. Maybe that was hammered home, moving to California. They're just like, what?
Yeah.
Well, of course, in The Godfather, Sonny Corleone, they shot Sonny on the causeway. So,
right.
So
there you go.
that's my bread and butter you're talking about.
So now we're on the causeway. So
There was a causeway? There was water there?
Well, I guess it's on Long Island, so maybe it's just near a swampy area. But
it's just they're surrounded by marsh and swamp in all areas. So
Are
it
you
are you
always
talking about
counts.
here or The Godfather?
The Godfather.
Oh, right.
in The Godfather.
Okay.
Sorry, I
See, I'm
switched.
surprised because that all happens on Long Island. So I'm surprised that causeways weren't part of your upbringing.
No, they were. I knew about them.
Oh, but you just
Are we going to be able to talk about Robert Moses in the context of this movie?
Sure, the
Because I'm
Robert
ready
Moses
for it.
is a famous example of a causeway, the Robert Moses Expressway. Or what's the one that goes along the bottom? The O. Anyway, that
Fiorello LaGuardia Way.
Fiorello LaGuardia is Italian for cause.
the Jones Beach Causeway is a state parkway where a toll booth was located. And that's where the famous, notorious for being the spot where Sonny Corleone was murdered. Blah, blah. But it's the loop.
God, I want to talk about that now, but we can't. I have questions.
It was filmed at Floyd Bennett Field, so that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But yes, although according to some other people say it was filmed at Mitchell Field, which is on Long Island. So, and then today the Jones Beach Causeway is known as the Wantagh Parkway. You can take that to get to the beach, and then there's anyway.
But
Let's
yes,
not talk about Long Island.
I think we don't see many
Especially
water.
without Ron here. It feels weird.
I wonder if we saw a causeway on Scariff. That seems like there might have been a causeway on Scariff. We don't have too many other water.
Can you
planets.
specify Scariff?
Scariff is Rogue One, where they had the beach
the end bit,
that kind of beach planet at the end.
I don't know if
It's
there
a
were any
beautiful
roads
place for the
there,
Empire to be.
They don't need roads.
No,
From what I
we're going.
understand. It's Road 1.
Road 1. They built the first road there. That's how it got its name. And they're like, what do we?
That's the birth of the Space Interstate.
Yeah.
They're like, what do we call this? One. And someone was like, wait, I got an idea.
But why? We need a cause.
Yeah.
Um,
Rebellions are built on causes.
Yeah.
Rebellions are built on causes.
on causeways. But they're taking the causeway. Where are you going to take the causeway? What exit are you going to get off at? Coronet Spaceport. That's where they're headed. Coronet, which of course, again, apologies to Ron Richards, who's not here, but a very Long Island thing. Coronet. Alex, you probably remember these. The commercials for Coronet, the toy store, 1111 Old Country Road.
Wasn't there a cake, though? Wasn't there a commercial? Was there like a specific cake? The Coronet in the 80s?
It could be this.
Go on.
A toy store where they had car seats, strollers, high chairs, playpens, and toys, but no talking orangutans. And it was two brothers and their mother.
That part I definitely remember.
Yeah. Anyway, that Coronet Spaceport, that's all I can think of when I think of this. Just like last year we had the in California up in the redwoods, or not in the redwoods, but in the forest area, northern California, we had the Caldor fires, and I kept saying like Caldor. Wait a minute, because that's the so.
Which
people
sounds exactly like a Star Wars place.
Their dated geographical references.
Again, Radke and Ron Richards are just like sitting there biting their thumbs, being like, they want to talk about these obscure Long Island.
Maybe look up if Krill or if either of them are from Long Island. Maybe this is in fact a tribute to their home state. Here's something also that
no. Here's the funny thing though about the Coronet Spaceport.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh, we need a place for them to be going, and they just found it on Wikipedia while they were looking for spaceports on Corellia. They were like, they were just using Wikipedia and just consulting, like, oh, and they go somewhere. Where? I don't know.
Wow.
And I don't know what we wanted the sequence to. Well, then once we get in there, Godfather's going to come back in a second, but
wrong show.
Godfather's back.
Well, here's something I noticed for the first time. While they're on the causeway, if you look on the horizon, you can kind of see what appeared to be all-terrain armored transport crane walkers. And I don't remember is this the first time we've seen these things? There's nothing about them in the visual dictionary, the visual guide I picked up. Because obviously in Mandalorian we see all-terrain armored cranes that look slightly different.
Right.
But I wondered, and I know I liked them, but I wonder if we weren't giving Solo the credit it deserved for debuting but then I'm thinking they might have been in Rouge 1 also, along with Causeway. So I don't know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah, but they would have been militarized in that context. And this is Space Baltimore Fort Worth.
Cranes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
What about space stevedores?
Space vodka.
What else I like about it is that, of course, the walkers were inspired by them seeing those kind of cranes off the California coast, and that's what kind of gave them the idea to do the. So it's nice, a bit of a
full circle
theory. Yeah, it's like someone doing My Fair Lady and taking all the music out of it and turning it back into Pygmalion.
So a pig alien? That's the Gamorrean guards. The Coronet City first appeared in Ambush at Corellia from 1995, the first part of Star Wars: The Corellian Trilogy.
95.
Written by Roger McBride Allen. And then once all that was tossed out, it came back in 2015 in the novel Aftermath. They mentioned it again, Ambush at Corellia. So reestablished as canon there. And then first appeared in this movie.
Now remind me, Aftermath had Klinger, Father Mulcahy, and Radar?
Right. Not Radar, because he had his own show, right? By that point, or was he?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Is this just like confuse a millennial?
Yeah.
Like it's just like how can we confuse millennials?
That's our goal.
We've made plenty of Aftermath references on the show before.
Yeah, I think
sure, but like that's one of those things. Like they might know about MASH. You know, it was a movie, it was a big TV show, but really the nuances of what comes after it. Like there's certain things that only live in the time that they happened. You know, like the Bob Newhart show, like the second one,
like the Coronet
Newhart. You know, Aftermath,
right?
Yeah.
MASH.
Here's my next note.
Yes.
Never. If you're in a movie. Guys, if you find yourself in a narrative, really, I would say in life too, because it's probably asking for trouble.
I was an extra in basketball once. Does this apply?
There you go. Never muse about how free you are and how things are going to be great.
Oh, sure.
And you know, because it's
that.
Never acknowledge when anything good is happening, because that's the quickest way to disaster.
Never have incredibly on-the-nose dialogue about how good and free things are at exactly that moment. That corresponds to a rule which I follow in the rest of my life, which is the ER rule. Never enter a hospital happy.
Oh.
No, never enter the hospital happy. On ER, if you enter the hospital happy and you're with like your spouse or your kid, you are screwed.
What possible circumstance would you be going into the ER happy?
On the show,
like
Rand? Is
on
this
the
what
show.
You're talking about?
I mean,
okay.
yeah, on the show.
Okay.
Well, you know, like there was like they were having a baby and they're just thrilled with each other and they're in love. Like, oh, they're screwed.
Right.
Oh,
and then, but if you went in there like, oh no, I'm going to lose everything. That guy's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like they're going to save that person. You watch through ER. It won't take you long, few years, and you'll see the pattern emerge. But it's great too. Like because they walk in and then they'll be in a good mood. It'll be just a cheery person, and you're like, oh, can't wait for them to die.
Gosh, how many times have you watched ER tip to tail?
Twice. And it should be noted, like, I didn't watch it originally. Like, I started watching it, and I think I watched the last season as it aired, maybe the last two.
Wow.
So because it was when it showed up on later I watched it when it showed up on Hulu and streaming, and I just started watching it because I liked it, and it was like a year straight. And then, but the first time, like, I had heard. Here's a diversion. I had heard George Clooney on Fresh Air, and they played a clip from the first episode, and I was like, "That sounded awesome." And
Is that Roseanne's George Clooney? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wait a
minute. I knew who he was at that point because he was a major film
over
star.
Our heads?
And they played a clip, and I was like, "That sounds really good." And I'd never watched it because I just assumed that all network dramas were terrible. Because I was a movie snob. Yeah. And then I got hooked. We got the discs from Netflix. That'll give you an idea of when we did it.
Right.
Okay.
I've never seen a single episode of ER.
It's really good. Like, it's surprisingly good, and I would not have thought so. And it goes on and changes, and also as you watch it, it's like this catalog of people who you would later know in other things. Like, they showed up in it.
Harvey Korman's in it.
You know, 2/3 of Always Sunny in Philadelphia cast are on it at some point.
Yeah.
Well,
it
Black
was on
Panther
for like 12
is Apollo
years
Creed's
or something,
son.
right?
Longer. It was 17 seasons.
So
something like that.
you're gonna have a whole generation of
it's great
actors on there. Anyway, so one thing I don't like about this minute, I love the all-terrain armored cranes. I don't like that we're continuing with we're 7 minutes in now, and we're still getting more exposition dump about what their plan is and what they're like. I don't know. I feel like I could have used what.
At least we're going somewhere now. That we're driving while we're doing it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm a little characterization around this time would start to be nice, I guess. But like you said, I guess they showed that Qi'ra knew about cars. So that was a bit of characterization,
right?
But yeah.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I say the thing about Emilia Clarke?
Yes.
I never recognize her outside of her Khaleesi wig.
Hmm.
Like, whenever she is in anything that is not Game of Thrones, I have no idea who she is. Like, I watched the whole movie, and Lindsay was like, "That was Khaleesi," and I was like, "Oh,
what movie was
right.
it? Terminator 4?
Yep, the Terminator movie was the same thing. I don't recognize her.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
it's interesting. I feel like there are people who I'm absolutely like that for. Well, especially like we mentioned last season, Hux, the Donald Gleason. Donald Gleason. I've a handful of times, like at the end of something, I've been like, "Oh, that was him."
Yeah.
Like, but
that's weird because I know him instantly. Like when he showed up in Star Wars, I was like, "Whoa!" But he's been in stuff I really liked.
Yeah,
I liked. He did a great episode of Black Mirror. He was in About Time, which I think is a great flick. If you have to watch a lot of kids' movies, Peter Rabbit is astonishingly good. Where he basically plays Hux in that.
Yeah, we're big fans of him. We certainly
totally.
I didn't recognize Thandie Newton in this movie when I saw it. I guess because the hair was very distinctive. So
she was in ER.
That's right. Yeah.
I like we have to. That'll be your. We'll do the Josh Flanagan ER report from now on. Anytime we see somebody, if they were in an episode of ER, like I do another show on the side about Star Trek, and my co-hosts are always bringing up, who was in Columbo and what episodes of Columbo they were in, and so the same deal. Whenever we come across somebody, I'll be like, "Oh, they were in ER."
I gotta say, 2 watch throughs over a decade may not give me the bandwidth to keep up with the.
Well, we'll do the we're lifting for you after this week. We'll keep pointing them out, and we'll be like, "Oh yeah,
Fair
Josh." We'll attribute it to you. Like Josh called us and told us that this person was on ER.
Okay, yeah, you'll have to edit this part out because now they're going to know that it's not him doing it.
And I'm wearing a different shirt.
And I'm a slob who doesn't change from day to day.
Anything else for minute number 7?
Not specifically. No.
Well, Josh, I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
What do you think of Sir Alden Ehrenreich's role as Han so far?
So initially, when I saw that they were making this movie and they cast somebody in the role of Han Solo, I said, well, that's where you're going to fail right there. Like, how do you even do that?
You said that to Ron Howard?
I said, called
Ronnie,
him up,
baby, listen.
And I said, this is where it's going to fail. And he said, it won't. And you're going to have deep fakes. And I was actually pleasantly surprised because he was not the problem with this movie, I don't think.
Had you seen him before?
Not really. Not in a way like he looks like one of those actors.
Yeah.
But when I saw him, I didn't think, oh yeah, Harrison Ford right there. But what I think that he did was sort of conjure the idea of Han Solo. He wasn't doing an impersonation,
right?
But his posture, his diction, while not being an impersonation, and I'm not on for the Donald Glover minutes, but I felt like he was doing an impersonation, whereas Ehrenreich was kind of being the person in a way that I thought worked really well. I expected to hate him, and I didn't at all. And as I watched these minutes, and the whole movie, like I if you didn't tell me he was playing Han Solo, I'd be like, oh, this guy's acting just like Han Solo. And I think it was the right call. You know what? Again, comic books are my forte. So what I always think of is that when they do a comic book adaptation of anything, Star Wars comics, obviously. Now, there's different ways to do the art. Some people do them really photorealistic, and they try to make it look exactly like the character, and that always fails. It's terrible. That. Or, Salvador LaRocca will use actual like screenshots of, clearly traced from and it's awful. But there's other guys who go more towards the cartoony edge, and they get the essence of the character, and that always works so much better. And I think that's what he did here, and kind of pleasantly surprised through the whole way. And I think that that was like I said, that was the thing that I expected to fail. But I think he's one of the stronger parts of it. Do I want series of him playing young Han Solo? No, because no matter how much work he does, that's gonna. I assume they're not gonna do that because this movie bombed, which is crazy. Yeah, but I big props to him. I think for that.
I keep bringing up this. I should track down the source of this story, but totally, you just reminded me of that. Kyle Baker has that story about doing the Dick Tracy comic book adaptation. When the movie came out, he was on staff at Marvel, and they were doing the adaptation. And he was trying it, and they kept getting notes back like, oh, Warren Beatty doesn't like the way you drew his face. And they're like, what? Like, what? Like, everything's fine except, like, you got to fix his face. And it's like, well, yeah, where? Like, he kept coming back with, like, well, no, you got to redo his face. And so he kept doing, like, all these, like, over and over again until finally he just took the face from the poster, copied it, and pasted it over every time he had Dick Tracy's face in the book. He just pasted the one from the poster over it, and they're like, looks great, love it. And that's it.
Did you every shot in profile?
Yeah.
Well, that is Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy is you only see him from the side.
So we got aftermath jokes. We got ER talk, and then really dissecting the actual cartoons that Chester Gould did of Dick Tracy.
Welcome,
really covering it.
To Generation X.
The musical
with a bit of Boomer in there, just getting
leaning back.
Yeah.
Well, my last thing I was going to say is that a positive thing that I learned from my enjoyment of the visual guide is that Moloch, I really like Moloch's gun. It kind of has you can see it. I don't know if this is going to be worth holding up to the camera, but where is it?
It looks like a sawed-off Han Solo blaster.
Yeah, I can't do that. But it looks really, it's like a snub-nosed Han Solo gun.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't Moloch a villain name in some other universe?
Watchmen. Yeah.
It's Watchmen. Moloch, he's the magician guy.
I think originally it's from like Roman stuff,
right?
Roman mythology.
And specifically in this, they said it was a reference to Howl, the Allen Ginsberg poem. So.
Yeah.
So well trod.
Sure.
Well, anything else for minute number 7, you guys?
No, that's it from me.
All right, Josh, you're coming back tomorrow. I don't want to hear. No. I don't want to hear it. You're coming back tomorrow. I insist.
Well,
you sign the paper and you're hooked in for life.
Little did you know when we said, "Hey, you want to be on a Star Wars podcast?" What that entailed.
Oh boy. Well,
little did you know.
Yeah, well, I'm talking to both of you.
Well, speaking of, anyway, go to StarWarsMinute.com/merch to get t-shirts. We have our Threadless store and our TeePublic store, both ready for your viewing pleasure. Both have slightly different merchandise, so look around if you don't find one you like. And some of the designs that have been removed from TeePublic still available on Threadless, so check that out. That's StarWarsMinute.com/merch. And we'll see you tomorrow at Star Wars Minute.
Star
Wars
Minute.
Minute.